On this episode of Delta Beyond Oil, we take a look at developmental efforts embarked upon by the state government in the past 11 months, geared to steer the state's economy away from oil. I'm Onyi Sunday, and this is Delta Beyond Oil. Oil production in Nigeria's Delta state has proved to be a mixed economic blessing. Reliance on oil has resulted to a steady decline in income as oil production fell. This prompted Governor Emmanuel Uduaghan to map out a strategy of developing alternative revenue sources with proceeds from the oil sector. In 2008, the Delta Beyond Oil initiative was launched. The ultimate goal is to run an economy independent from oil.
We do know that the oil is a very volatile commodity. Volatile in the sense that the price can come down. Of course, it can finish anytime without your knowing. And so all these factors can affect your economy in a way that might not be favorable if you depend entirely on oil. And that is why we are looking at other areas of agriculture, culture and tourism, solid minerals, and other things, other aspects of the economy.
Infrastructure for all sectors of the economy was a key prerequisite to achieving this vision. Special economic zones like the Cocoa Free Trade Zone, the Warri Industrial and ICT Park are just some examples of the rollout of infrastructure projects. The state's agricultural sector is another key priority going forward. These efforts would result in the movement of both goods and people, the mainstay of any successful economy. The movement, however, is highly dependent on the existence of good roads. The government has set in motion the construction of new roads from the state capital Asaba to its industrial hub, Warri, and beyond. Today, most parts of the state have a new look. In the urban areas, rehabilitated roads with streetlights can be seen across the state.
Now, the most critical aspect of it is that the dream of Delta Beyond Oil cannot be done without first integrating the entire state. So, in that aspect, we are constructing roads to link the rural areas with the urban and rural areas properly linked. That's one. Second is that we also constructing roads to open up rural areas that are agricultural belts. There are food, to evacuate food from the rural areas to the urban areas for purpose of commercial activities.
Today, most of these communities have been connected through roads and bridges, like this road linking Ode Ishekiri, a major riverine community in the state. Another is the multi-billion naira Sapele Aronwa Abigorodo Road, and a 24-kilometer road with a total of 24 bridges along the Warri River.
The major significance is that this is a road linking a community that a car has never driven into. That's major. And this is not the only one. In Delta State, we have about 2-3 roads like that, leading to communities that in the history of those communities, a car has never driven to those communities. The economic significance of having transportation, on land, to communities, to increase the economic value of that area. Even for the road alone, of course, you have the setbacks on the road has land masses that will now be developed to the value. Already down this road, there are tank farms that never existed here before.
The attempt to link the creeks in the state continues with a 33-kilometer Trans-Warri Road built in the midst of a mass body of water.
It's all about movement of people and cargo and services, so to speak. And the easier it is to get people moving across borders, whatever, whether they are village borders or town borders or local government borders, and then all that, the net effect of that is spiraling of trade between these people. Because you get some people, what they have, the kind of seafood and all that they have in the riverine areas, it's different from the kind of cassava and all what we have here. So they need that, we need this, and then you facilitate the movement with them. It makes it easier. And you get things fresh because these things are coming on a daily basis. And, of course, the effect on commerce, generally, apart from the agricultural side of it, can only be best imagined. I think transportation is key in the economic integration of the people. And that's what we're trying to do here.
Delta State is seen as the natural gateway to major business hubs in the south-south region of Nigeria. And this gateway role supports investments into massive infrastructure projects.
When we're talking about transport in Delta State, we're looking at the infrastructure that are on ground, the road network, our seaports, our airports, our buses, our tricycle, and even the intermodal transport system that we have. Because us in Delta, the governor's dream, his policy is to do what we call an integrated transport system that coordinates whether sea, whether air, and land. And in line with that, we have a focal point, which says that to provide effective, efficient, sustainable, affordable, and integrated transport scheme.
The new Asaba International Airport is one of such projects. Logistically, Asaba is a better solution for traders in the region who currently use the Lagos airport at great cost and effort. The new Asaba International Airport, adjudged to be the model airport in Nigeria, is licensed to operate a cargo facility as well.
It's clear that air transportation is one of the fastest means of transportation globally. But one thing people don't know about Asaba Airport is going to be one of the most lucrative routes in Nigeria because of its strategic location. Now, apart from the fact that the people of Asaba, Agbo, Ogwashuku, Iseluku, and the other neighborhood within Delta North, patronizing the airport in terms of passengers, cargo, and whatever, you should also realize that it's a gateway to major markets in the country, Onitsha market, Nnewi market, and Awka. So, of course, with this strategic location, we know that in terms of passengers, it's going to be one of the best. In terms of cargo, it's also going to be one of the best because we know that bulk of cargo entering Nigeria via air, 60 to 70% of them are Onitsha and Nnewi bound. Now, in terms of proximity, from Asaba to Onitsha, it's just about 15 minutes. From Asaba to Nnewi, it's just about 20 minutes. So, which clearly defines the fact that this is going to be one of the most lucrative, one of the best airports in Nigeria.
The government says the mission to create a state with limitless investment opportunities can only be achieved with full participation from all sectors of the economy and a thorough geographical penetration, especially in the rural and riverine communities. To achieve this, the state government purchased over 130 speedboats, or water buses as they are popularly called here, to meet the needs of commuters in the riverine areas. For those on land, a fleet of coaster buses to transport commuters and goods to their respective destinations. With ongoing projects to ease access to and from the rural and riverine communities, the state has pursued its rural empowerment program with fervor.
How can we harness all that the ordinary person, the so-called ordinary man, all that he does to add to the economy of the state? Put in other words, you are talking about the so-called informal economy. Then we looked at the micro businesses. How do we now address the issues of the micro businesses? The greatest problem the micro entrepreneur normally has is the issue of micro loan. So the Delta State Microcredit program was then launched.
A survey conducted by the state's Ministry for Commerce and Industry revealed that SMEs accounted for 62% of commercial activities in the state. Most of these businesses, unfortunately, were micro businesses with limited sources of financing. High interest rates and a lack of required collateral were some of the hurdles business owners encountered when approaching commercial banks for funds.
We were very discerning in choosing the kind of financial institution we will work with. When you look at the financial institutions in Nigeria, the ones that are closest to the communities are the microfinance banks. They are actually community banks, and that was what they were actually called before they transformed into microfinance banks. We didn't go to the normal
financial institutions, bigger ones. We didn't go there because the kind of people we are looking at are not the kind of people that these other bigger banks will give easy access to fund. The microfinance banks now became our partners. They signed an MOU with us, and they became our participating financial institution.
The success of the program is measured today by an increase in the number of successful clients under the scheme. It has over 10,000 cluster groups and over 100,000 people empowered through the program. The Akumangba family is one of the success stories. Theirs is not really a startup, but more of a growing global brand. Mother and son are behind a variety of food spices known as IDS. IDS manufactures, packages, and distributes dry spices for local delicacies for retailers in and outside Nigeria. Their products are sold across Nigeria, South Africa, Germany, and the United States of America.
When the marketing was going on at a small scale, in 2002, the US wanted African food to come into America. They were sent to US, Center of International Private Enterprises. That is for women, the emerging economic force into the world market. And this was the food that was exhibited. By the time I came back, the government was quite impressed. And they saw that it's a thing they could put in money.
Today, they own a factory where they process and package their spices. From manufacturing to the creative industry, the success recorded has attracted foreign patrons and partners. These are some of the products from the small businesses assisted by the DMCP. The state is currently partnering with the United Nations Industrial Development Organization to establish a shoe-making factory with modern equipment. It will accommodate a group of shoemakers who over the years have excelled in their businesses despite using handmade and obsolete tools.
Proceeds from its internally generated revenue, oil and bonds, massive infrastructure projects continue simultaneously in all sectors of the economy. Majority of these projects are in the health and education sectors.
To fast-track most of these projects, the state set up the Directorate for Special Infrastructure to speed up major developmental projects across various ministries.
The Directorate of Special Duties, Special Infrastructure, is a strategic initiative by His Excellency, the Governor of Delta State, to fast-track the completion of selected special projects and also the execution of key but basic special infrastructure that will enhance the standard of living of Deltans. Basic infrastructure in the area of education, transport, which includes works, roads, bridges, health, housing.
The function of the Directorate in most cases is to complement the policies of the state government where they have a direct impact on the general public. One of such policies is the free maternal health care program. This program led to an increase in the number of patients across various hospitals, putting strain on the existing healthcare facility. However, the state government addressed this problem with structures like these, catering to the wide medical needs of all and sundry.
It's a total rehabilitation of infrastructure, equipment, with the wards we have new beds completely, the bedside cupboards, the feeding trays, they are all spanking new. We've changed all the fans, all the light fittings, sockets, switches. It's a total rehabilitation. The roofs have been changed. The wood members in the roof has been changed, It's just a little bit, bits and pieces of blocks that we actually still kept back from the old structure.
Hospitals across Delta State are now fully equipped with modern equipment, and it is no longer necessary for people to seek medical care outside the country as was the norm in the past. State-of-the-art X-ray machines, intensive care units, and a kidney dialysis facility. The state's Commissioner for Health says the plan is to make Delta State a hub for medical tourism.
The teaching hospital is attracting people from Lagos, people outside Nigeria, to actually come there Because a place where you're doing spine surgery, neurosurgery, hip replacement, it was the first teaching hospital to do a total hip replacement. And many other surgeries and many other things that are not done elsewhere in West Africa. So it's a hub. But the issue, the challenge is, well, we hope that this vision will continue after His Excellency leaves. Because he himself is a medical doctor. He has a good vision for the state. You know, he's putting a lot of things in place to ensure that we can actually, Delta State, the hospital will be like a tourist ground, medical tourism, where people will come. Of course, when these operations are being performed, money will be taken.
An upgrade of old hospitals was also carried out across the state. The Eku Baptist Hospital is one of them. Known to have one of the best dental clinics in the state, dental care is also made affordable.
Basically, we do routine dental treatments like scaling and polishing, tooth filling, such as amalgam and composite fillings. We do tooth extraction. We can do partial dentures and full dentures. And we can also do what we call intramaxillary fixations. Like when somebody has road traffic accident where there's an injury to the jaws or fracture to the jaws, both the maxilla and the mandible, we can also fix it here. But for most of our treatments, we don't charge more than 2,000, 2,500. We don't charge more than that for our treatments because we understand the terrain of the people around here, so they don't charge much.
Delta State's vision for developing the health sector is aligned to the International Millennium Development Goals. These are reducing child mortality, improving maternal health, and combating communicable diseases. The government's efforts are targeted at 3 key pillars: infrastructure, the latest in healthcare technology, upgrades, and the recruitment of best personnel from researchers to surgeons.
What we are doing in Delta State for medical tourism is to pick some subspecialties in these areas. For example, in pediatrics, we find that we have equipment and expertise in neonatology because of the peculiar issues of pediatrics in Delta State. Also because we have a maternal and child under 5 program that leaves the neonates unprotected. And in internal medicine, we have some areas of, for example, neurology, which we focus on. Also in surgery, especially in surgery, minimally invasive surgery, endoscopy, urology, orthopedics, and most recently neurosurgery. Neurosurgery, in particular spine surgery, which is one of the areas, one of the problems that leads most people outside the country, especially to India for surgical treatment. We've recently started developing a program in neuroscience.
We need more doctors, we need more nurses, because some nurses have left the system within the past 3 years, either by way of retirement, resignation for a better placement, perhaps abroad. Some have died in the process. So we have actually written a memo, just like I told you now, that the teaching hospital also desires more doctors, and so more doctors and more personnel. We have written, Excellency has given the approval, and so we are recruiting more doctors and more nurses, to make up the mass, critical mass of workers that we require in the hospital.
With 12 to 15% of the state's budget committed to the health sector, Delta State has over 65 general hospitals, 6 central hospitals, and 450 primary healthcare centers. The centers are built within the communities with quarters for midwives to attend to emergencies, especially during child delivery and much more.
There's no stress. It was night when I came in. It was around 11 o'clock at night, 11 p.m. when I came in. The gate was locked, then I knocked. When I knocked, they opened the door. The gate man was there. They opened the door. I came in. They went to knock the door, and the matron came in. When he came in, I walked down here. They checked me. It was 3 cm. So they checked me, I have to stay. So they induced me with drip, because I normally deliver with drip. So after that, I have my baby. Not just quite long. They really helped me. That I didn't even bring some of my things. The nurses, they gave me even clothes. The first clothes my baby put on, there was one that gave me.
First, in ensuring that the children produced in Delta are healthy. So we have the free maternal health care to look after pregnant women to produce healthy children. And once the child is born, of course, we take over again to look after that child until under 5, until it's over 5, in order to equip that child health-wise to face the challenges of formal education. And to top it, we give assistance to our students in school, namely primary school is free, secondary school is free. We pay WAEC and NECO fees because we do not expect our children to be subjected to structural anxiety because of financial difficulties.
The state's education sector is another area which has received a major boost in the past 10 months. To achieve human capacity development across the state, education was made free up to secondary school levels. But with this worthy policy came an increase in the number of students attending government schools. This posed a huge challenge owing to the deterioration of some of the public schools in the state. To correct this, construction and rehabilitation of schools ensued across the state.
The initiative by the governor is to see that a whole school can be taken, can actually be torn down if need be, and built from the scratch afresh to create a beautiful, conducive learning environment for children. There's a beautiful synergy, and the drive is to make sure that development is fast-tracked between now and when the tenure of this governor ends. So all hands are on deck.
According to the Commission of Education, the effect of this intervention had a significant impact on the lives of students.
Before these interventions, I must tell you that the general standard had been very low, nationwide. In Delta State, yet it had been low up to a point, such that in a particular year, we didn't have more than 20% of our candidates for the WAEC exam having up to 5 credits. The Deltans right now, if we play a picture of what the situation was in 2002, 2003, 2004, we want to weep, would weep. We had schools without roofs in the past. We had schools without furniture. We had schools without laboratories. We had schools without doors. And we even had schools without floors. And there was no way we were going to produce the ideal child from such an environment.
So the turnaround in the state's education sector was also felt in the riverine communities as more schools were built and a number of higher education institutions are planned for construction.
I'm very happy for what the government is doing. The place is beautiful and it's quiet for learning. In the other school, there is no fan, there is no light, and the place is noisy sometimes.
We have those things, all those equipment to improve in life. And I also thank God for what the government has done in our school, for making us comfortable and learning effectively.
Informal education through vocational studies at skill acquisition centers were also introduced.
You don't keep waiting. You don't keep waiting for you to work in our community. The talent is in you. Just look, find it out, discover your talent and use it. You have a lot of creativity in you as a human being. So just look at yourself and see what in aspect of your body you can find useful, then use it for yourself. You must not wait for someone to employ you before you make your millions. You can use your hands to make your millions.
After this program, I have a lot of skills in my hand to do. I can decide to be on my own, go about, get business, and either start up with engineering, computer engineering stuff, repairing systems, or I can also get myself attached to any computer engineering company.
A Silicon Valley is currently under construction in the state with an ICT park where computer software will be created and sold in and outside the state. The project is private sector driven, geared to create employment for a good number of youths in the state. But how knowledgeable are residents in Delta State on ICT?
I'll say 30%. 30%.
So why would you say 30%?
Because most people, it's not like they don't know what computer is about or they don't know the importance. Their issue is they feel it's too expensive. They always think about the money. And most times, you know, it's like a school. You learn first before you start seeing the results. Okay? So for them, it's like a waste of time. That's how they think. That's how they see it.
To address this, the state's Ministry of Education has made computer science a compulsory subject in the school curriculum. While most schools are equipped with computers and accessories required for learning, computer science educators are in short supply.
The teachers are not enough, the ones we have, to run all the classes. We have only 2 teachers for computer right now.
It is clear there is progress and development in Delta State, yet the government agrees a lot still needs to be done. Well, join us next time on Delta Beyond Oil as we take a look at some key projects to assess how much has been achieved in terms of completion, its impact on the lives of the people and the Delta State economy. I'm Onyi Sunday. Thank you for watching.